I was hoping to walk this House through a timeline that covered all aspects of requiring, claiming and receiving universal credits. However, the time allotted will not allow me to do that. In my constituency of Inverclyde, we've had a full rollout for 12 months. So this is the abridged version. Based on what constituents have told me first-hand, my archetypal constituent, we'll call her Mrs Smith, is 50 years old, married and lives in Port Glasgow. She's been working at a local shop, but is left on health grounds. Seeking support, Mrs Smith goes to a local job centre in Port Glasgow, only to find it's been shut. She instead walks the 3 miles to the job centre in Greenock, but is surprised to learn that no one there could advise her on what benefits she is entitled to. She is told that the staff are not benefits trained and are not even able to offer her options. Mrs Smith subsequently learns of universal credit from a welfare rights organisation. She applies online. This would make Mrs Smith unlike the 15% of constituents surveyed by my office who said they could not use a computer or had great difficulties in doing so. Mrs Smith lodges her application today, the 16th of November. By the 23rd of November, she realises that although the application has been lodged, there is in fact at least another month of waiting how the entitlement is calculated.
Exactly.
At this point, Mrs Smith's remaining savings are being used up by rent, council tax, TV licence, utility bills, shopping, the usual things. Her husband works, he's got a low income, and they're now struggling financially. It's worth reminding members at this point that in 2016, the Money Advice Service found that more than 16 million people in the United Kingdom had less than £100 in savings. As November presses on, Mrs Smith's financial situation becomes more desperate, as she underestimated the amount of time it would take to receive support. Please remember, this story is based on real-life examples that my constituents have brought to me.
Yeah.
People don't fall into universal credit trained. They learn as they go along. At the start of December, she takes her granddaughter on a standing commitment to the movies, using a credit card to pay. She is accumulating debt. By mid-December, Mrs Smith applies for a crisis grant and considers visiting the local food bank. The constant pressure of having no money begins to creep into every facet of Mrs Smith's life. She is stressed and the relationship with her husband is suffering. Nonetheless, she makes it through to her first universal credit payment, sometime after the new year. Her husband is paid weekly, and coupled with real-time income data, it means that her universal payment fluctuates wildly as a result. Yep. She is now locked in a boom and bust cycle, with her universal credit sometimes falling to almost nothing, and in other months receiving 8 weeks of income with one assessment period. So what will the future hold for the real-life constituents of Inverclyde, apart from the uncertainty, stress and poverty being inflicted on them by this system? I'm asking the UK Government, I'm asking them politely, do not ignore the overwhelming evidence. Universal credit is not working. Saying that its predecessor was worse is not an excuse. It does not help my constituents on a week-by-week basis. The rollout must be halted. Take that time to reform the fundamental flaws in universal credit, then implement a system that truly offers applicants the stability on which they can build their lives.
Deputy Banton.